Yes, hi there. These comments are for AR, and this is Michael. I am the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at STELT, the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And you are one of my students in my online TOEFL course, and you've also paid to have the additional service to have me error correct, restructure, develop, reorganize, whatever you want to say. I'm going to take this essay and change it so that you will get a 5.0 out of 5 or 30 points out of 30. So by the end of this lesson, you should have a pretty good idea of what some of your problems are in writing and how you can get better. And I'll even recommend some lessons near the end of this video to help you improve. So let's get started. And first of all, let's take a look at the word count here. So you are at 252 words, as you can see right here, and I'm going to recommend that you probably need to get closer to 350, even 400. So it doesn't give you a lot of room for error if you're not even at 350 words and you have some grammar problems and things. That's not going to be good. If you're over 350 words or 400 words and you have a few grammar errors, sometimes the IBT human raters, they might overlook that and say, you know what, the content's great, the development's great, even though the writer has some small problems with word choice or sentence structure or whatever, you still end up getting pretty good score. Okay, so here's a question. Many students have to live with roommates while going to school or university. What are some of the important qualities of a good roommate? Use specific reasons and examples to explain why these qualities are important. So this is what you say. Now I'm going to take it, copy it, and I'm going to send you a copy of this too, and then I want to take a look at how I would maybe rephrase and make a few changes so you can kind of see what you have to do here. So far, intro is not bad. Let's take a look. So choosing an appropriate roommate is an important task to me than it is to others. I wouldn't say that really, I'll be honest with you. I would, because everybody considers having an appropriate roommate as being an important thing. It's not just important to you, it's important to most people, I would say. What if you said this? You might say, like many others, choosing an appropriate roommate is an important task. A roommate is the kind of person with whom one would need to share a room in which we are living. If you say with whom, you would say whom one would need to share a room with. So I don't even think you have to say this. Then you have in the current world scenario where people, I would probably say wherein, that's probably a little too formal. In the current world scenario where people cannot be trusted blindly, it is really very, I think that's a little bit wordy. How about this? It is difficult to have, I'm going to say find, a trustworthy room partner. Let's give you a little bit more words here. You might say, in other words, How about, you might say, how about split the cost of the rent, the food, and the utilities in an effort to raise money maybe we should take this idea. What we're trying to do is add a little bit more words to your essay, and I'm expanding your introduction just a little bit. And that's what I'm trying to do right here. Maybe that, to make the... So I'm going to put this right here. That's probably going to fit better. Let's take a look at it now, see what we have so far. So we have, like many others, choosing an appropriate roommate is an important task. A roommate is the kind of person with whom one would need to share the room. Maybe it's better to say I. And that'll be a little more consistent in our point of view. I'll talk about this a little bit more. So for example, whether I'm attending university or move to a new city for work, I may have to find a roommate in order to split the cost of the rent, the food, and the utilities in an effort to make the living arrangements more economical. Maybe, however, in the current world scenario where people cannot be trusted blindly, it is difficult to find a trustworthy room partner. Then you might use a word like this. Therefore, to try to connect things together, I think you could do better with that. I'm going to give you a suggestion right now. Speaking lesson number 7. It'll show you how to organize your speaking and writing tasks a little bit better. You might want to write that down. Maybe I'll put it under here too. Speaking lesson number 7. That's one thing I see from your writing. So therefore, one of the important qualities I would like my room partner to possess is that of honesty. Other traits I would look for, I'm going to say other traits I would look for are, so under grammar, let's see what kind of grammar problems you're having so far. We'll keep track of them. So we have subject, verb, agreement, problems. Maybe we'll add to it. So let's look at the first paragraph one more time. You got a good thesis. It's going in the right direction. You say, like many others, choosing an appropriate roommate is an important task. A roommate is the kind of person with whom I would need to share a room. For example, Whether I'm attending a university or I've moved to a new city for work, I may have to find a roommate in order to split the cost of the rent, the food, and the utilities in an effort to make the living arrangements more economical. However, in the current world scenario where people cannot be trusted blindly, it is difficult to find a trustworthy room partner. Therefore, one of the most important qualities that I would like my room partner to possess is that of honesty. Other traits I would look for are cleanliness and being organized. Okay, let's take a look at your next paragraph. Probably needs a little more development. You say, first of all, when you say here, I would say second of all, based on what you did in the beginning, or say first and then second. You say, living with a partner who is honest in nature allows one to leave the room without much worries. Now, that's more of you're making a factual statement, right? But you're not really creating what I call an arguable topic sentence, because you are making an argument. You want to reflect in the topic sentence the appropriate tone for the paragraph. So you might say, honesty. Again, you're not really using any transition words here, so you have to do this to illustrate. And transition words, again, speaking lesson number 7, it's also a writing lesson, that will help you with that. So living with a partner who is honest in nature allows one, I'm gonna focus on the I here because you're trying to make an argument here. So allows me to leave the room without worries. Say, I cannot reside with a dishonest person because it is too maybe risky. You say belongings. You might say, I am very particular about my iPad. Now I'm just kind of making up some things. My iPad, my personal notebook, computer, and my iPhone. And then all my other personal belongings. I'm going to say the peace of mind that my roommate will not steal any of my electronics or use them without asking permission. Still, we probably have to do something else here, or maybe not. Let's see how many words we're at right now. So remember, we're trying to get closer to 350 here. We're at 338. Now, I think that probably, let's see, you talk about cleanliness and being organized, right? We'll talk about that a little bit more in the next paragraph. I think you can probably delete one of those terms. I think that you want to focus more around the organizational issue. You might say, moreover, I'm very positive. I'm just making this up. Sometimes you have to do this. You have to make up an example to help illustrate the point you're saying. See, moreover, I'm very positive they downloaded malware from the internet which infected the hard drive on my computer. Of course, due to his dishonest nature, he denied using my computer at all. Okay, that's probably good enough there. So you have, first of all, an important characteristic in a roommate is honesty. To illustrate, living with a partner who is honest in nature allows me to leave the room without worries. I cannot reside with a dishonest person because it is too risky. I am very particular about my iPad, personal notebook computer, and my iPhone, and all of my other personal belongings. When I leave to go to class or work, I need to have the peace of mind that my roommate will not steal any of my electronics or use them without asking permission. Unfortunately, Last year, I lived with a roommate at an English language program who used to use my iPad and my personal computer while I was in class. You might want to say here, he never asked me permission. Moreover, I'm very positive that he downloaded malware from the internet which infected the hard drive on my computer. Due to his dishonest nature, he denied using my computer at all. Sadly, we need to go back to past here. I had to take my computer to a repair shop which charged me more than $150 to fix the problem. There. Okay, now I think these are kind of the same thing. Let's just go to the being organized thing. Let's say honesty and being organized. Let's just deal with two main ideas here, and we're going to get to whatever the word length is. We're getting close right now even. We're over. Second of all, I am a what if you said this? Second of all, I'll give you a little bit better grammar here. Since I'm going to say I am a neat freak. Second of all, since I'm a neat freak, I cannot live in a place where things are cluttered. Probably don't need the word around. Everything must be kept in its own place. See, you're using a lot of really generic type words. You got to work on your vocabulary. Let's put this down. So vocabulary, I would say first lesson number 3, then study lesson 4, then lesson 5, then lesson 6. I think that's going to be important for you. You need more specific language there. What if you say this? Clothes should be folded and placed into their drawers. Beds should be made after a long night's sleep. Should be taken out when the trash can is full, and dishes and silverware should be placed into the dishwasher after meals. Garbage kitchenware will contribute to an organized living space. Which I would like to be a part of. I think we're getting there. You see, so you're using kind of really general type language, and I'm trying to help you get more specific in what you're doing here. So I'm saying, second of all, since I'm a neat freak, I cannot live in a place where things are cluttered. Clothes should be folded and placed into their drawers. Beds should be made after a long night's sleep. Garbage should be taken out when the trash can is full, and dishes and silverware should be placed into the dishwasher after meals. A roommate who takes care of his clothes, bed, garbage, and kitchenware will contribute to an organized living space which I would like to be a part of. You want to be more formal, put the preposition here, then say that. Dishes into the sink was a lost cause. Okay, I think we're pretty good there. Alright, let's take a look at that second paragraph one more time. You say, second of all, since I'm a neat freak, I cannot live in a place where things are cluttered. Clothes should be folded and placed into their drawers. Beds should be made after a long night's sleep. Garbage should be taken out when the trash can is full. And dishes and silverware should be placed into the dishwasher after meals. A roommate who takes care of his clothes, bed, garbage, and kitchenware will contribute to an organized, maybe clean, living space of which I would like to be a part. The English language program roommate I had last year was one of the most disorganized people I've ever met. Not only, we're trying to use some more advanced grammar here, not only did he not make his bed, but he also threw his clean and dirty clothes on the floor in almost every room in the house. Use a transition word here. In addition, trying to get him to put his dishes into the sink was a lost cause. Therefore, I had to spend extra time each day cleaning up after his messes since he was so disorganized and dirty. After all, how could I bring my friends home to an apartment that was not organized and clean? And that just kind of sums up that idea, right? So I think we're okay there. So you could bring up 3 ideas, and you don't have to support them as much as this. And I'm going over the top a little bit, right? But I'm just showing you how it's important to be specific. You're just not being specific enough in your writing. So word length now, we're probably over 400. Okay, you say in short, you want to say here, there would be many situations in life where one has to share an apartment. I'm going to say I here. Keep it focused around what you're saying. Say there are many situations in life where I may share an apartment. But I should wisely choose. I'm going to combine these two, a roommate who possesses the qualities of honesty, being honest, I think it's probably going to be better. How about being organized and clean? Probably don't need to use all that. I think that's it. So let's go over the whole thing one more time. Let me save this. I'm going to spell check it right now too, just quickly. Get rid of all the spelling. Okay, here's what you said here. Here's what I say here. This is the editing here. This is called the restructuring, adding, I think. So let's go to paragraph 1. Like many others, choosing an appropriate roommate is an important task. A roommate is a kind of person with whom I would need to share a room. For example, whether I'm attending a university or have moved to another city for work, I may have to find a roommate in order to split the costs of the rent, the food, and the utilities in an effort to make the living arrangements more economical. However, in the current world scenario where people cannot be trusted blindly, it is difficult to find a trustworthy room partner. Therefore, one of the most important qualities I would like my room partner to possess is that of honesty and being organized. And let's add that back to the thesis because we did develop that point. Paragraph 2. First of all, an important characteristic in a roommate is honesty. To illustrate, living with a partner who is honest in nature allows me to leave the room without worries. I cannot reside with a dishonest person because it is too risky. I am very particular about my iPad, personal notebook, computer, and my iPhone, and all of my other personal belongings. Remember, you just said belongings, but you didn't give any examples of those things. I added those in there to give you more concrete details. You say, when I leave to go to class or work, I need to have the peace of mind that my roommate will not steal any of my electronics or use them without asking permission. Unfortunately, last year I lived with a roommate at an English language program who used my iPad and my personal computer while I was in class. He never asked me permission. Moreover, I am very positive that he downloaded malware from the internet which infected the hard drive of my computer. Due to its dishonest nature, he denied using my computer at all. Sadly, I had to take my computer to a repair shop which charged me more than $150 to fix the problem. From this example, I learned why I should never live with someone I cannot trust. Second of all, since I am a neat freak, I cannot live in a place where things are cluttered. Clothes should be folded and placed into their drawers. Beds should be made after a long night's sleep. Garbage should be taken out when the trash is full. And dishes and silverware should be placed into the dishwasher after meals. A roommate who takes care of his clothes, bed, garbage, and kitchenware will contribute to an organized, clean living space. Is that a period? A comma should be. It means organized and clean. An organized, clean living space of which I would like to be a part. The English language program roommate I had last year was one of the most disorganized people I've ever met. Not only did he not make his bed, but he also threw his clean and dirty clothes on the floor in almost every room in the house. In addition, trying to get him to put his dishes into the sink was a lost cause. Remember what I said here about the folding of the clothes, the bed, and the dishes. And I gave examples about how this roommate didn't do those things, right? You think I brought these things up by coincidence? No, I did it to help illustrate the points I was making in the paragraph. So you say, therefore I had to spend extra time each day cleaning up after his messes since he was so disorganized and dirty. After all, how could I bring my friends home to an apartment that was not organized and clean? After this incident, I made a promise to myself that I would never live with a disorganized and dirty roommate ever again. In short, there are many situations in life where I may share an apartment, but I should wisely choose a roommate who possesses the qualities of being honest, being organized, and clean. How about, let's just make these both together, then we'll just do that. Of being honest and being organized and clean. We look at these ideas as one point. That's why I'm not separating them with a comma there. Let's take a look at the rubrics now. The main thing now is we want to figure out what your score would be based on your response. So remember that I had to take your paragraphs, I had to add more transition words, I put more specific vocabulary, I added more examples in there. I straightened out a few problems with maybe subject-verb agreement, a few minor problems with punctuation, all that. But you know what? You don't have major grammar issues, but you need to develop your topic more and use more specific language. So your essay will not score in the 5 range. You're not going to score in the 3 range. Let's take a look at the 3 range here. We have addresses a topic using somewhat developed explanations, examples, and details. Has unity, progression, and coherence, however, sometimes is difficult to understand the connection of your ideas. You have some problems with sentence formation and word choice. You have accurate but limited range of sentence structure and vocabulary. Yes! Now, will you score lower than 3? God forbid. Hopefully not. Let's see. Limited development of ideas as they relate to the topic, inadequate organization or connection, inappropriate lack of details. There's yeses in there. Here's where I'm going to put you right now. I'm going to put you between 2.75 and 3, maybe between about 18 and 20 points out of 30. I think maybe one IBT human rater might give you a 3, another one might give you a 2, so you may end up with a 2.5, which is 17 or 18. So you definitely need to work a little bit more on your writing. So let me go back to your essay. So you can kind of see what I did with your essay. You can see what you have here. So you're probably sitting right around probably 3.0. You may score a little lower than that. So in conclusion to the video, I highly recommend a couple of things here. So speaking lesson number 7, I think is going to be very, very important for you. This is going to help you organize your ideas better, particularly by using more transition words with your ideas. Secondly, you did have some minor problems with subject-verb agreement, and you can probably work on varying your grammar a little bit more, using more complicated grammar. So if you check out, I think it's my grammar lesson number 2. I think you could probably, lesson number 1 and maybe number 2 you could probably benefit from. And I think you have to do a lot more with your vocabulary. So your vocabulary is very limited, and once you expand your vocabulary, you will definitely be able to express your ideas in a much more larger sense. Okay? Anyway, thank you very much for paying for my additional service, and keep up the good work. And remember that keep doing your practice tests. Let my teaching assistant keep scoring them. You will get better. You now know some of the problems that you have. You know you have to be more specific. You need to develop your topics more. You need to improve your organization of your body paragraphs. So you want to take my ideas and start trying to apply them to the other practice tests you're doing next week, the week after that, and the week after that. And eventually, you will reach your TOEFL goals.